I did not want to do this, but due to the developments of the last 48 hours, I feel like I have been left with no choice. I am suing Datto. Now, right here in my hands is a copy of the LBC that my solicitor sent to me this morning, a letter before claim. It outlines the nature of our action and our suit against Datto. Obviously, this is turned over. I'm not going to show you the claim before it's been filed. I have with me as well my opening statement that I'll be making before a judge, which I have been advised to read for you now. And also, past this point, I will not be able to tell you anything about the nature of our case until such time we're ready to do so. My name is Ascendant Nomad, and on 4 separate occasions, I have solicited the vault cleaning services of Datto, formerly known as Datto Does Destiny. It is no secret that I have a hoarding problem. Like millions of players, Destiny players, I suffer from an acute case of maybe one day syndrome. This disease has caused me and my fellow Guardians to hoard good rolls of subpar weapons in the false hope that in the future they will be viable. This problem also extended to sunset weapons no longer viable in endgame content, in the vain hope that they too would have their time in the sun again. In soliciting the services of Datto, also known as Mr. Turv, I had hoped that by treating the symptoms we would make positive inroads towards breaking the hold of the promise of tomorrow. After all, there were no merits to keeping 2 crafted syncopations, let alone a sunset god-roll Duskrock Blues or a Tartar Gaze with kill clip. That is, until April 25th, 2024. As a result of the phenomenon known as sunrising, all advice previously given by Datto, aka Mr. 2402, has been rendered null and void, especially with respect to the dismantling of sunset weapons. As a result of the very nature and content of his erroneous advice, actions were taken that can only now be described as grievous bodily, mental, and emotional harm. As a result, I have opened legal proceedings against him, and I invite all who have received vault cleaning services to join me. If you or a loved one has been affected by a vault cleaning video, you may be entitled for compensation, and I will be collecting signatures over at twitch.tv/Ascendant Nomad. I didn't want to do that, but like I said, circumstances have led me to believe that I had no other alternative. Now, a big portion of building any legal case against another entity is the process of discovery. And in the process of discovery, you take the time to find any piece of evidence that can support your cause. Now, what I decided to do was I asked the general public to share with me all of their sunset god rolls that they managed to keep despite the oppressive nature of the plague of vault cleaning videos that have hit the timelines of your social media inboxes for over the last 4 years. And thankfully, there were quite a few to go through. And what I'm hoping to achieve is that by showing you these weapons that are coming back, maybe we'll get a better idea of just how good these weapons actually held up in today's sandbox. And hopefully by the end of this video, we will have more than enough pieces of evidence to conclude this phase of discovery and be well on our way to creating a very open and shut case against Datto and his subsidiaries. So this was the initial tweet that I put out 2 days ago. Show me the unsunset babies you're excited for and I'll tell you what I think about them. So let's start with the first one, which is Kindled Orchid, which is still to this day, I think when it comes back, will be the best void hand cannon in the game by some distance aside from Word of Crota. Simply because if you have this particular role, Kill Clip and Rampage, we've never seen this on any hand cannon thus far. We sort of started to see this with the Brave weapons, which have double damage perks, but we've never had Kill Clip and Rampage. When this comes back, this will be ridiculously powerful. It'll be a best in slot contender, and I think anybody who did dismantle this as a result of the vault cleaning videos, this does fall under the statement where we suggested that the actions could be described as grievous bodily, mental, and emotional harm. So if you dismantle this, you are definitely eligible for compensation. See me at twitch.tv/SunNomad to come sign your name. Excellent weapon. If you still have this, you're lucky. Moving on, we have Breachlight. Breachlight is an aggressive burst sidearm, which for the longest while wasn't particularly useful, especially when this came out Season of Dawn. It wasn't considered to be a very, very good weapon in PvE or PvP, but since the glow up of sidearms, I can't stop using all sidearms in general, and having used Liminal Vigil, which is another kinetic slot sidearm, I'm very taken by this. I'm very taken by the fire rate, the damage, the perks and offer, the options that it affords you. Breach Light, when it comes back, will be only one of 3 kinetic aggressive burst sidearms. The other options are Liminal Vigil and Empirical Evidence. Liminal Vigil is obviously stasis, comes from Spire of the Watcher Dungeon, and Empirical Evidence is the craftable from the Witch Queen. There's a lot of good options here to make this gun feel even better. So if you have a good roll of this, then definitely keep it. If you did dismantle it, then yes, this very clearly falls under the guise of grievous bodily, mental, and emotional harm. Next up, we have Duke Mark 44, and to this day, I think this is still one of the best kinetic 120s we've ever had. Duke was the original. Duke hit like a truck, sounded like a truck. It was such a satisfying gun to use. It was a fan favorite for a reason. I would suggest you bring it back out. I think it could be very useful, especially in PvE, even though the mag size isn't the best. But quite a lot of damage perks, quite a lot of interesting things going on with this weapon. Now, I'm not entirely sure what's going on the Roll website with respect to the API and how Duke Mark 44 is in the actual database. But yeah, it was a wacky gun. It had many different purposes. Most people did use it for PvP, but I do think it'd be a good shot in PvE regardless. So yes, if you dismantle this, definitely falls under the case that we're filing against Datto. Keep this one. 21% Delirium is an interesting one. Overflow Killing Tally, Extended Mag, 900 RPM, Arc. It is still, to this day, the best 900 RPM light machine gun that we've had in the game. Plank Stride is the only other 900 RPM LMG in the game, and it never really set the world alight, came with Season of Plunder. Like, in certain situations, if there's a lot of arc enemies, maybe this could do the trick. But you can't help but feel that this gun was really successful at the time because nothing else really was around like this. I think this has been very badly power crept by Commemoration and now recently Hammerhead with the double damage perks. Would this be an appropriate piece of evidence for our case? I'm not entirely sure, but I do feel like we can make a solid case for this because we don't have a better arc option. But just to be safe, we're only going to submit the most compelling pieces of evidence. So far, we've only had 3, and we need a lot more than that. Python, that's an interesting one. I'm curious about this one as to why there's such an emotional attachment to this one. Can definitely see the appeal. However, there's only one significant use case for a void 1-2 punch shotgun, and I can only assume that's to do with Gambit, which is where this gun is from. I don't think I can submit this through Discovery, if I'm being honest with you, because the use case of this gun is to use it in Gambit. And playing Gambit does constitute grievous bodily, mental, emotional harm. So I can't submit evidence that is destructive to the well-being of the actual player, especially when you consider that, Retold Tale exists and is superior in quite a lot of ways. I think not only has this been power crept, but it also involves playing Gambit, so that can't be submitted for Discovery. Okay, this is a little worrying, guys. We need, I thought we had a pretty good case here so far. Let's move on. Hush. Hush is a good one we can submit to Discovery. Hush, if you don't know, is the pinnacle bow from Gambit. Okay, can't accept this on the basis of Gambit. That really puts a dent in our case. Like, if you don't know what Hush is was like the preeminent PvP bow. The big draw on this one was Archer's Gambit. Hipfire Precision grants a massive draw speed bonus for a short duration, which is just as well because the draw speed isn't that great, 684. However, it had opening shot as well, so you were all pretty much guaranteed to get that hipfire shot, and then you would have a pretty easy time getting, 0.5 second time to kill. It was a very good bow for those who used it. That being said, first of all, it requires you to be good with a bow, which the vast majority of people are not. Secondly, you had to have played Gambit. This hurts our case against Datto significantly because this is a niche weapon for niche people, and I'm making a case here on behalf of millions of Destiny players. Unfortunately, I cannot submit this because even though this is a very good weapon and it's very good, and I don't think it has been powered, I don't think another bow has come out that can do what Hush has done. It's still pretty weak. It's a weak case to make. This is going to get better. I promise this is going to get better. Our case is going to be airtight. I promise. Spare ration. Okay, guys. Spare rations. Why are we doing this? Spare rations, yes, okay, I understand at the time it was the hand cannon rapid hit kill clip was one of the roles of all time. I had to play Gambit again for it. And yes, it dominated the Crucible, but now we have spare rations. It did come back. Did it power creep the old spare rations? No. Spare rations got power crept by itself because it was a 150 RPM hand cannon, came back reprised as a 140 RPM hand cannon, but kept all the same stat characteristics of the 150. So it was always good at handling and reload speed, but down on range and stability. it's not the best hand cannon in its own class anymore. I'd say Dire Promise is even better than this, and Dire Promise is completely outgunned by Iris Luna and Ostringer and Rose. This isn't even a good weapon anymore. This does not, under any circumstance, constitute grievous bodily, mental, maybe emotional, but not bodily or mental, and we need all three to be hit. This is not good. Mindbender's Ambition. Okay. Definitely emotional. Yes, I can understand the emotional aspect of this. But again, this is not going to be a good weapon when it comes back. People are going to bring this out of the vault, they're going to go into Crucible, and they're going to love it every single time it whiffs every shot. Because shotguns aren't good anymore in the Crucible. It takes a very particular kind of person who can execute a very close range playstyle to be able to get the best out of shotguns. Are they useful? Do you still see them? Yes, absolutely. But you're more likely to see a precision frame shotgun than you are to see an aggressive frame shotgun. Now, this is the role that people really want to go for. Quick Draw was, well, it's always helpful for the gun with 16 handling. Snapshot was good because at the time, full choke as a barrel option actually extended the range of the gun, if you remember from Fallout's testing videos. But this role in particular is not a good example of that. Sorry, I don't think this qualifies. Not only did you get power crept by better options, but I think now it's just not very good in this sandbox. So this is not a case for the fact that Sunrising has caused emotional harm. Like this isn't working. Okay, Revoker. No. Guys, this is a bad gun now. Yes, Reversal of Fortune, in its heyday, you miss a bullet, you got it back. It was like Mulligan on crack. But they nerfed this. They nerfed the zoom, and they nerfed Reversal of Fortune too. Where now Reversal of Fortune is, you have to miss both shots to get your ammo back. So you miss two, you get one back. You do the math. That's not going to be a good weapon anymore. It might still feel good, but it's not going to be a good weapon. So this doesn't qualify either. And besides, I would much rather use my Bite of the Fox in my vault with a snapshot opening shot, or if I wanted to do something different, a little bit more interesting with my sniping experience, I'd go for the Brave Succession with Discord and Snapshot. I'd argue that Revoker got power crept by better options. So again, doesn't qualify here. God, what is going on? No feelings. Okay, we're really at this point where we're just throwing shit out there, are we? Okay, 180 RPM Scout Rifle. Really? Vouchsafe exists. Does everything that this did better. This was okay in the Crucible because I had Kill Clip. But if you want a Kill Clip Scout, you have Vision of Confluence from Vault of Glass. And it probably has better stats than this too. All across the board. The game is not designed around 180 Scouts. It was never good back then, and it's not going to be good now. This is not qualified. This is not qualified under any metric. No. Moving on. Plume Perfect. Okay, now we're really scraping the bottom of the barrel here. A high impact auto rifle with Outlaw and Rampage. We're really pining for this. We really think... I'm trying to make the case that this caused grievous bodily, mental, and emotional harm. We have had how many high-impact autos since? We've had Halfdan. We've had Lodbrok. We've had Lethal Abundance. All of them are better than this. Really? This is how I'm making my case. Plume Perfect. Really? Okay. Alright, let's move on. Redrix is... Really? For fuck's sake. Guys, it was good. It was absolutely a terror of the Crucible. It was absolutely... You had to get this weapon. But Desperado isn't what it used to be anymore. It has been nerfed, and it doesn't fire nearly half as fast. It's still strong, but is it as scary as Kill Clip on a 340? No, it's not. It really isn't. And this thing has been power crept to high heaven by Messenger. Destroys this in every metric possible. No. Guys, this case is falling apart as I speak. Bygones! Okay, look, emotional, definitely, yes, absolutely. Emotional, yes, 100%. But when was the last time you used a 390 pulse rifle in PvE? Huh? Tell me that. Tell me that this gun would do numbers in Onslaught. Tell me you'd get 1,000 kills with Bygones in Onslaught. Tell me that. Seriously? I'm trying to make a case against Datto here, and you guys are throwing it apart. You guys are breaking it apart. What the hell is this? Yes, it was great at the time. But you know what we didn't have at the time? Subclass 3.0. This is an ability game now, motherfuckers. Not a weapons game. Okay, yes, you have the kinetic damage and it'll be better than syncopation, sure. But we're doing damage with our abilities now. Our weapons are literally supposed to only be existing to get our abilities back up. And there's no demolitions on this. There's only... and people only kept Outlaw Rampage. So, Trophy Hunter? Seriously? Cope. Snipers have always been cope. We had one season, Garden of Salvation raid launch season, whatever that was, where snipers were meta. We have never had a sniper meta since. Looks cool. It was never good. You've even posted it with 0 defeats. You never fucking use it. Cope. Cope, 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 cope. Line in the sand. I'm not even going to entertain this one. Spiteful Fang. Okay, now we've just run out of ideas. A lightweight bow. Sure, why not? I'm shocked. I really am. I thought I would have a pretty airtight case against Datto here, but turns out there's no point. Wait a minute. Maybe I've been looking at this all wrong. Maybe, maybe the game has actually changed in 3 years, and what was good back then isn't what's good now. Maybe it's a good thing that all of this stuff has been powercraft, because then it could come back stronger and better than ever before, and that's what they said in the tweet anyways, that they were going to do that. Maybe it's a good thing that we should have dismantled all this stuff in the first place, because they've been replaced by better options. Options that have origin traits. Options that have new perks. That do better and do more things for us in our build crafting adventures. Maybe Datto was right to make me dismantle all of it. Maybe he's not the bad guy. Maybe I am. Hi. Yes, I want to talk to my solicitor. Yeah, we need to make some changes.